All right, we're recording.
Okay. All right. So let's say we go here.
Okay, yep, Minneapolis, that's good.
Okay.
And then if you change daily climate report to preliminary monthly climate, you can either use November. If you click on archive data, you can go back and get previous months like October, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you say go, and then it probably pulled it up in a separate pop-up window. But you've
Okay.
got a table there that has the high and low temperatures for each day.
Okay. Let me pull that.
Actually, now that I think of it, I think I wrote up these instructions before we started using Climod a whole lot.
Uh-huh.
It's the same basic idea. Yep. So I saw it for a second.
Can you still see it?
Yeah, I just need to minimize this and this. Yep, I see it. So yep, in the first column you have the dates, in the second and third you have the high and low. Oh, and then you have the average in the fourth column. That's really what you want.
And an HDD.
Yeah. Oh yeah, even then. Yeah, even better. So it has HDDs and CDDs. So you can just use that information to
Okay.
make some guesses about the trade. So if you see that suddenly people have sold a whole bunch of Minneapolis October HDDs,
Mm-hmm.
you might see that you haven't accumulated very many, and then that would explain why they're trying to sell those contracts and get out of them.
Right. Right.
If they're buying a whole bunch, then that might mean that you accumulated a whole bunch of HDDs at the start.
Okay. Okay. All right. So and we can still use Climo to get this, right?
Yep, yeah, anything that pulls up past data. This is just a site I used a lot in the past
Mm-hmm.
because I was familiar with it. It's easy to scroll. It has other things like weather, sensible weather.
Yes.
But if you're just using temperatures, Climod works as well. Anything you can use to get the measurements from a station.
All right. Okay. So I'm gonna close that. And then go back to this one where the contract say the contract happened in May, but it's for October, for example. So it's not, the contract is not yet active when
Right.
when the transaction happened, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so for this one, I want to open that.
See forecast.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So we just enter the 2000, and then just enter the month, I guess.
Yep.
Okay. And then what do we do now?
So there, it's got some of your different time periods. So this first set of graphics are the 1 month lead time.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they issued for, in mid-November, the forecast for December.
Okay.
Expecting
Okay.
below normal or above normal temperatures in the southeast, below normal in the Pacific Northwest. And I think if you scroll down, you can get other lead times maybe,
Mm-hmm.
or has some seasonal ones. Yeah, so there you've got, in addition to the 1 month in advance, you've also got 3 months, your seasonal forecast. So basically it just lets you pull up those old forecasts.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. And can you also let me see here, pull up for, like you said, he has a 1 month thing. It doesn't let you.
That one, if you want this December, you can just go to the main page. So get rid of all the folders there, CPC, NCEP, NOAA.gov, and it'll be the forecast that's on the page right now.
Okay.
Yep,
This-
under 1 month outlook and 3 month outlook temperatures, those should be for December and December, January, February.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So we can also use this for contracts that are happening now.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, if they're there's some movement on December contracts the past few days. or if it's a November through March contract, it would also be relevant what the forecast for this is.
So this one has drought, temperature 1 month.
Yep, usually the 1 month and the 3 month.
Okay,
Would work.
great. All right, so yeah, those are all the questions I had for the summaries. Jay, do you have a question on this? Because I want to switch to another one, another topic.
I think.
Oh yeah, you can switch.
All right. I see you submitted some new summaries or corrections on summaries, but I haven't gotten around to looking at those yet.
Yeah, it's just the correction of the one.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah.
And I think Jay, you got in a 4th summary.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm working on my 5th, so
That's good.
I want to listen to this as well.
That's smart. We do have a final project and one last homework, one last D2L quiz, so you don't want stuff to pile up too much.
Okay, Dr. Billings. Let's see. I had a question about the midterm. So I went back and I was looking at what you did for Cincinnati. And I saw that you did like the trending analysis or something like that.
Yep.
So I did that for my data, and can you see it, Dr. Billings?
Yep. And so your significance F is 0.01. So that means that technically, I guess you're not 99% confident because it's 0.0102. But if you were using 95%, you would be 95% confident that there is a trend.
Oh, so I am 95% confident there is a trend?
Yep, because the cutoff there would be 0.05.
But if I do 1 minus this, it gives me 98.97 though, Dr. Billings.
Yep. So you're more than 95% confident, but not 99%.
So I am more than 95% confident that there is a trend or that there isn't.
Yep, that there is a trend. Because, yep, in this, the null hypothesis is no trend. And it's saying that there's only 1% chance that you would have an R-squared value this high if there weren't a trend. So you reject the null and say that you're confident there is a trend.
Okay, so 9.5. So why did you say in yours that you were not 95% sure there is a trend? You said not.
Let's say, I think my, it was like 0.049 or something, or 0.05.
Yes.
Basically, I just didn't want to include that part since, you know, you've worked on it in the past. Everyone seemed to do fine on the detrending exercise.
Okay.
So I decided not to include that, but depends on what numbers you want to use.
Right. So just to review, my null hypothesis is that there is a trend.
The null hypothesis is that there is no trend.
Oh,
Because remember, you want to make the null hypothesis the opposite of what you're trying to show. Because you can reject a null with 95% confidence, but you can't be 95% confident the null is true. So you want to make the null opposite of what is interesting, basically.
Right. So there is no trend. That is my null. I am rejecting it that there is actually a trend because I am 95% sure.
Right.
I have 98% here. Of there being, okay.
You could say you're 98.98% sure, but we like to use nice even numbers and thresholds that you reach.
All right. Okay, so would I need to detrend?
I mean, you can, if you don't want to detrend, you could say that you're not 99% sure. So it's
Okay.
up to you.
Is that why? I guess that's what I was trying to understand because you said not.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that's
so,
all right.
and
That's
so
all
you
right.
decided not to detrend, right?
Okay, that'll work too. You can actually knock that down from 99.9 to 99%. It sounds a little
Oh, so because
yeah, because 99.9% is pretty high. But yeah, so you're not 99% sure there's a trend, so you don't.
but there, right. But this is pretty high. Normally in real life, I would need to detrend, correct?
Right. It's up to you. I
Because,
mean, the detrending formula we've seen it's not very complicated, but if you've
right.
already done some work on this, I wouldn't go back and redo it
Okay.
because that would change your numbers at the start of all those things, and that can take some time.
Uh,
So as long as you've checked it like this and said, okay, we're not going to do it at this threshold, that's okay.
Okay, yes. I mean, it would definitely change numbers, but I just wanted
Sure.
to make sure because I feel like some of the stuff from the beginning is making sense now more than it did before because everything is like coming together.
Yeah, it's all built on top of it.
So when I go back and I look at some things, I'm like, oh, it's like a come to Jesus moment, kind of. Okay.
That's why I put that poster on D2L that does kind of all of these things as part of the pricing. You get to see them all together.
All right. So I also talking of that, I had a question because I was looking at what you had put for Cincinnati and what made you decide to use the mixture.
Well, I mentioned this. I was showing off.
Yeah.
The numbers that I came up with didn't really justify doing anything more than a Gaussian fit. But I kind of wanted to give you guys more than to look at. So that's why I said, oh, I'm not 99.9% sure it's Gaussian.
Right.
So I decided to go a different way with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to understand.
Yep.
So like how you were using the R squared value too. So like for this one, my R squared value is 0.983. But your R squared value was like 0.99 or something. I can't remember.
It was very high, yes. There was no justification because what you would do with that is you'd go to that Shapiro-Wilks table and see whether or not it's less than the critical value for that.
Okay.
And mine was only less than the critical value. Actually, I think it was a little more than the critical value for 99.9%. But I wanted to do something other than Gaussian, so I just did it.
Oh, okay. So
But I suspect if you go to your table, you're going to find your critical value is less than 0.983, which means your number's higher, which means you can just use Gaussian.
Okay. So looking at the Shapiro-Wilks. And if you don't mind, how do we use the Shapiro again?
There's a table, so you'd want to look at, take the number of years that you have. That'll be the N for your rows. And then there'll be columns there with different confidence levels. Under the cell, at that row and column, there'll be a value for R squared.
Yes.
You reject the null and say the fit is not Gaussian if your R squared is less than the number in the table.
Okay. So we want our null hypothesis to be that it's not Gaussian, and then we reject it.
It would be that it is Gaussian. So goodness of fit tests work a little bit differently since you don't want them to be like negatives. There, the null hypothesis is that the fit is good.
Isn't that what we are looking for, though?
Yeah, you're right. So if you don't reject the null hypothesis and say it's Gaussian, then that means, okay, we'll use this for our index modeling.
Okay.
And then if you reject the null, you have to try a different distribution that'll fit the data better.
So why are we having it being that it's the Gaussian when we are trying to not reject it? I mean, we are trying to reject the null.
Usually you start with Gaussian because that's the simplest. There's a lot of analytical formulas that you can use. You need less data to fit it. So there's a lot of advantages if it's Gaussian. So you kind of try that first, unless it's very obvious it'll be something else. And only get away from that if you have to.
Right. I think what I'm trying to understand is, you said for the null hypothesis, you want to put the uninteresting thing as
Yeah,
the
this
hypothesis.
is an exception. Yeah, that the goodness of fit is kind of the only time where we don't do that.
Okay, goodness of fit exception. Okay. And so are you shooting still to, so you're shooting not to reject it then, if that's the exception, right?
Yeah, well, I guess it could go either way. I mean, it's not a problem. So usually you think if you fail your hypothesis test, you haven't really proven anything, you haven't done anything.
Right.
But in this case, if you don't reject your null, you just kind of, okay, so we'll use Gaussian.
Okay.
But it's not necessarily a problem if you do reject it. You just have to go find a better distribution.
Okay. All right. I think that's all I had, Dr. Billings.
Okay. Well, yeah, for the midterm or kind of for everything for now?
Oh, actually, I had no, never mind.
Okay.
For the assignment 4,
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple questions, if that's okay.
Are you sure? We have time.
Okay. Try.
Before we go to assignment 4, can I ask a quick question?
Okay,
Yeah.
yep, of course.
Okay. So for the what was that? For a daily summary, there's a thing under volume trait clear. There is an R at that comes with a number.
Yep.
What does it mean though?
And that can be used in a lot of other columns. It stands for record. So sometimes there'll be a lot of different days that have volume trades, or the price will go up and down on different days.
Yeah.
R indicates that's the highest value
Oh,
that
okay.
they've seen on a certain day.
Okay.
And again, you don't need to include that in your summary if you don't want to.
Okay.
Just the basics.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So Dr. Billings,
Mm-hmm.
when I did the metrics and did a single SBT, so you had mentioned in class that the average is usually 0 and the standard deviation is usually 0.4, but I got something different. I'm not sure why.
So actually, did we calculate those for we did calculate them for V. So this V matrix is the one that you got coming out of the SVD website?
Yes. I mean,
I'm not sure. Well, I guess probably I would recommend using those for your Gaussian distribution.
Okay.
If it doesn't come out 0, 0, because technically that would be more accurate, or either way would be fine. It looks like you already put in some random numbers there.
Yeah, I did. Let's see. Well,
I think I tried this and I got 0, 0, 0, 0.4, 0.4, 0.4, but I may be misremembering it.
The one you did in class had the 0. I don't.
Yeah, I thought this was the same way, but it's possible it isn't. It might depend on the cities that you use.
Okay, because this is.
Or are those flipped? Can you go to the formulas again? Because it looks like, I mean, you've got 0 and 0.4. They're just, that's weird. It's like they're backwards from where I would expect it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's fine. Either way, you simulated those.
Right. I did simulate with the 0 and the 0.4 though.
Okay, and it looks like you got reasonable numbers, so
Okay.
yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's all I had, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And any other questions on anything?
Not at the top of my head. I have to go home and charge my computer. Maybe I think I remembered everything, but if not, I can.
Okay. Yep, I'll still be around, so I'll just go ahead and convert this video, put it on Google Drive, and then I'll see you in about 45 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Gillis. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
no problem. See you soon.